Hello everybody, Sean here from Somm Wine Club, and I have got some wine for you. This is the 2019 Pecchenino Sirì di Dogliani Superiore. This is a Dolcetto-based wine from the DOCG of Dogliani Superiore in Piedmont in the north of Italy. The Pecchenino family is based in Dogliani. They've been there for multiple generations. The first evidence of winemaking activity at the Pecchenino estate started with the current owners, Orlando and Attilio Pecchenino's grandfather, also Attilio. That was probably in early 1900s-ish. They don't specify an exact date, but they say that it was handed off to his son in the 70s and then to the younger sons, the grandsons, in the late 80s. So they've been producing these wines in this area for at least close to 100 years. Sirì di is an iconic single vineyard that the Pecchenino family owns in the north of Dogliani. They've been making this wine since 1988, and it is, I think, one of the best examples of Dogliani Superiore that comes out of the region consistently. So good, such a great expression of Dolcetto, and a lot of that has to do with the way that the Pecchenino family is working the land, is farming. Everything is very sustainably focused. They're doing as much as possible by hand harvesting, hand sorting. They do all of this with a mind towards the sustainability of the vineyard and making sure that they're expressing this terroir very succinctly and clearly through the wines that they produce. So this is 100% Dolcetto. It is all destemmed, and then after destemming goes into stainless steel for fermentation. They want to preserve that bright, fresh fruit. They don't want the oxidative character of oak getting in the way of the fermentation. Dolcetto has a tendency, when fermented too warm, to be bitter and get really aggressive tannins. The name Dolcetto translates to little sweet one, which is kind of funny because the grapes are not sweet at all. They're small little berries with a really high skin to juice ratio, which means a fair amount of tannin. They also don't typically have a ton of acidity. It's a fairly moderate acidity grape variety. And that purple, dense, inky fruit, you combine all of those things and it can be bitter if you don't manage your fermentation properly. So doing it in stainless steel, I think, is a really wise choice to kind of preserve that freshness and keep the temperature of the fermentation down. After fermentation is finished, then it goes into oak for 12 months to kind of allow the wine to breathe, oxygenate, and have a little bit more complexity built into the wine as it's aging for that year before release. Let's taste it. Tons of ripe, juicy black fruit here. We're talking black cherry, black plum. There's a little bit of black currant and that kind of tangy, dark fruit that I really like in Dolcetto. There's a little meaty note to it, almost like cured meat. Bresaola, that like air-dried cured beef with that nice hit of iron. There's this really lovely floral note, high-toned, purple, reddish flowers like rose petal or violet. All of this very classic aromatic components for Dolcetto. Where this wine really shines, though, is palate, is the texture that they've built into it. This wine is super fine-grained tannins that are present but not overwhelming. They've managed to keep great acidity and freshness, so you have a lovely balance of intensity of tannins and intensity of fruit flavor, balanced with really quite refreshing acidity and kind of tanginess to it. Dolcetto can be a little bit rustic with the reasons that I mentioned before, and it was often one of the grape varieties that was consumed while other producers were waiting for their Nebbiolo, their Barolo or their Barbaresco to mature, that along with Barbera. But in Dogliani, which is the only DOCG for Dolcetto in Italy, it's really the focus rather than an afterthought or a secondary variety that's made to kind of fill in a gap. So all of their attention goes into producing this just incredibly complex and wonderful expression of a fantastic variety that gets kind of overlooked in the grand scheme of Piedmont and other grape varieties that are available. This wine's just so easy to drink, super well balanced, great intensity, power, delicacy, elegance, but also intensity of flavor and youthfulness and freshness and fun. This is not, I think, a wine that you need to be like overly fussy with. Yes, it needs a little bit of air. Put it in a decanter, give it a little splash to wake it up. But after that, it's really easy to just drink it on its own. This is a great wine for your casual pizza pasta night if you're doing ragu or you're doing like a really great homemade pizza or takeout pizza, it doesn't matter. Or this wine also has the potential to elevate more serious dishes if you want to do a roast or steak, or even doing something like roast pork is great with Dolcetto. If you want a real experience, you let this wine kind of take you back to Piedmont, where it comes from, and do a carne cruda, which is like Italian steak tartare, but carne cruda alla albese, which is the Alba kind of Piedmont version. Super, super focused on just the flavor of the meat itself, a little bit of citrus to cure it so that you get that tangy, citrusy note in the tartare. And that's a classic pairing for Dolcetto. A little bit of grated white truffle on top, some fresh, crispy Parmigiano Reggiano, and you have maybe one of the best like combination pairings of great Italian wine and great Italian food. There's so much to like about this wine. Not least of all is that it's a fantastic producer that really captures the soul of Dogliani Superiore, but beyond that, it's just bloody delicious. So good. I hope that you guys enjoy this. I know I really enjoy sharing these kind of unique wines from regions that have more to give than just maybe what they are known for on the international market. So Dogliani Superiore is definitely one of those. Enjoy the Pecchenino Serie di Girmo. Let me know what you guys pick for pairings. I would love to see kind of how people use this wine and play with it in different situations. And we'll see you in the next video. Cheers.